Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to a special edition of the Fifth Trooper Legion Podcast. This is our 10th episode, and on today's episode is our special Halloween edition. My name is Jay Shalansky, and I am joined by Evan Bulris.
How's it going?
And, well, our topics for today are all, well, somewhat theme related. We're gonna try to associate everything with Halloween because, you know, Evan and I were talking before we started the cast, and one of my favorite things growing up was watching all the Halloween specials of all the TV shows, whether it be The Simpsons or Roseanne or, well, The Connors now, as Evan reminded me before we started.
The Connors, sir. Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah. And I just always loved that. So I thought it'd be a cool special treat for our 10th episode to have a Halloween edition, especially since this comes out on Halloween. And anybody who's listening to the podcast, I highly recommend maybe viewing this one on YouTube. We release these simulcasts on YouTube as well. We're both dressed up, number one. And number two, I'm going to have a cool little like Halloween intro for everybody. So that'll be neat to watch as well.
Excellent.
So why don't you tell us what you're dressed as, buddy?
I am the quote-unquote Corellian kid, if you will. The young Han Solo out of the three flavors of Han Solo.
Oh.
The one less traveled. I'm thinking I'm going to jump on this hype train while it's still like low. And then, I'll be the theme leader.
I like that. Yeah. You'll be unique.
And then plus I just need to buy like a vest and a white shirt, and then I'm middle Han Solo, and then I get a black coat that I'm old Han Solo. Like,
Oh, yeah. Give it a couple of years. You'll make it to old Han Solo.
give me like 2 more.
Yeah, unless you mess up on this podcast. And
We'll see what happens.
And I am a generic Jedi because usually I would be Obi-Wan with this, but I shaved the old beard, so that's not going to happen today. So
Look at you trying to look presentable.
yeah, I wasn't really thinking. All right, so let's get started. And our first topic, once again, along the Halloween theme, is what scares us about Legion. And so this I'm kind of leaving open, but we could talk about any real topics here that are scary to us. And I mean that, you know, this can be funny or it can be legitimate. And I guess I'll start. And for me, as an Imperial player, one of the things that is scaring me right now coming up is Wookiees. So I've been watching these guys get played on the Invader League, and dear God, they are going to be a freaking handful. They are crazy.
Well, they should be good, right? Like Wookiee Commandos are kind of a big deal in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for anybody who doesn't know yet, they're brawlers. They're crazy strong. They have a couple wounds each for each mini. And one of the neat things is, Evan and I were just actually talking about this before we started the cast, is that they can, as long as it's not the unit leader that's getting a wound, you can assign wounds to any mini however you feel fit. So one of the interesting things that's been happening is even though they each get a couple wounds, people spread them out, so you're like 1-1-1, 2-2-2, or like, let's say, you have a couple that are out in the open shooting and you're keeping a couple behind cover or something. You take any wounds that the ones out in the open are getting and you just put them to the ones in the back so that the ones out in the open can keep shooting.
And they're like 2 red dice for melee a piece, right? They're pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so basically the concept is they're just brawlers. So you just run them.
Yeah, those Kashiki swords or whatever.
Yeah, and you just run them at whatever unit, and you just start destroying.
Yeah, because even Boba Fett with 2 red dice can do some damage to a melee unit.
Yeah,
so that's going to be pretty crazy. When do they white dice or red dice for evade?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I want to say most Rebel things are white. So
they're probably white, or
okay.
They may be red though for being Wookiees.
That's something
we can. But and then so those scare me. That's one scary thing coming up in Legion. What about you? Anything?
Running into that hammer list to your anvil. So like running into, let's say you take all infantry and they just have all suppressive like weapons, or you go heavy vehicles and they're just like, oh, those rocket launchers, those HL-12s or whatever they are, like 14s or something. They just have like 4 or 5 of those. You're like, why would you bring those? why do you have those right now? And you're running like, like 2 ATSDs, and you see a guy who just has an army of those. You're like, well, good game, I guess. Like, it's it happens in other games you play. You just happen to run to that like list that just counters yours. But I like Legion because it's a take all comers kind of thing. But you never know. Sometimes you just like, you run to that guy who, like when you went to Buffalo, it was like, I have all this anti-vehicle stuff and not a single guy played vehicle. So it's that same nightmare for me. So I try to like run the middle ground, but then if someone goes hard one way or the other, you kind of get, you can't handle it. So it's running into that like anti-U list that might just happen to be there. So that's my always fear. Like happens in X-Wing, happens in anything I play, like just that anti-U.
Yeah, and it's tough because I think, you get kind of like an idea in your head about how you want to play. That just happens sometimes if you don't play like a kind of middle ground list that tries to cover everything. But yeah, I get that.
That's my my biggest thing.
That's your big one. All right, so another one for me. This is a long-term one, but one of the things I think I'm a little nervous about is I'm hoping that when the clone separatist stuff comes out next year, that these two armies don't end up bottoming out, where the release becomes spread because they're trying to get the new stuff out. So I'm really hoping, because I think, and we were talking about this before, is they have a lot more to explore.
All Rogue One.
Yeah, and Solo, right? Like, like it or don't, that's fine. I'm not making a judgment call on the movie itself, but you had like the Mud Troopers from there. You had a lot of neat troopers in Solo, Rogue One, like all this different stuff that I think they can absolutely use.
The conscripts, like Krennic with Death Troopers.
Yeah,
people have been making a lot of custom stuff like that, and they've got like, all the Rogue One heroes like Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor. Like you got all these cool like units, and just maybe because you don't even need like another set of like Rebel Commandos, because Rebel Commandos were really more or less what took when they went to Scarif.
Yeah,
what was there, but you could do like Death Troopers. Everyone wants Death Troopers. Like those are really like a cool guard unit for him. In the game, asymmetrical is okay too. You don't have to have an answer. Like each side doesn't have to have an answer for the other one. Like you don't need scouts on both sides. You may not always need like the melee guys on both sides. I mean, right now it's fine because there's only 2 armies, so you kind of have to have that. But when there's 4, right, like so you could have maybe the Imperials are the one who gets Death Troopers. They don't need like a rebel answer besides maybe some new units.
Yeah, and I hope. Yeah, and you're right, and I hope that when when the Separatists and the clones come out, that I think they will. I think they're smart that they'll keep releasing, but I just hope we don't get stuck in a lull, like somebody who likes the classic factions.
Armies,
that they don't forget about them.
No, sure.
Because I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to Separatists. Not so much the clones. I don't know that I necessarily care about that, but droids is interesting to me. But I think just theme and story alone, I'll probably I just like the older stuff, the classic stuff, anyways. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
My next fear is a real power creep.
Yeah,
like a real power creep. So the Rebels and the Galactic Empire, they're fine, right? They're pretty like one's got the other. This is the other. Like used to be Empire was dominating. Now Rebels like are doing pretty good. And it's going back and forth. And you can say what you want, but the game, no one really knows what's going on with the game yet. So until everything is out, every single unit, like all the Rebel and all the Empire, and then all the Republic and all the Separatists, until every unit's out, the meta doesn't really shake out until like everything's out finally. So it's like with X-Wing, like the most exciting times to play were right when a new wave just came out because no one knew. Right. Like it was all crazy. But what I'm afraid of is like a one strong build in one of those new ones, especially like maybe a droid build that's just nuts, right? Yeah. Like just the amount of activations or the amount of guys you can field, or a clone vehicle that's just insane, right?
Yep.
Power creep has to happen because there has to be a reason for you to want to buy
the
new stuff. I mean, luckily they can ride this wave of like, hey, do you want to just run like clone troopers? Thematically, it doesn't really matter. Like they could be the same thing as stormtroopers. I wouldn't even really care if they're like the same model, just different units. And you got like Grievous, who's a little bit different, or like whoever you want, like Anakin. is the same as Darth Vader or something, right? But like if there's a real power creeper, I'm like, wow, this seems heads and leaps and bounds over better than the other two. Like that's my fear. I hope the game, like it's a perfectly balanced game is impossible, minus like chess
Sure.
or something, like especially when there's asymmetrical things happening.
Yep.
So there's always going to be something that's just a little bit better. But as long as it's just a little bit better and not like if you want to go to a tournament and win, you have to play this or else you're just not going to win.
Yeah, that's a good fear. I think that because I think there's potential there for sure.
I mean, it had like 40K things
Yeah.
happen to 40K. Like they've got all those armies, and I don't know what the current like as of right now because there's been some facts that came up. I remember it wasn't a few months ago like Dark Reapers for Eldar and Dark Reapers were just like ruining people, right?
Yeah.
Like you just hear it, and that Orcs Codex is maybe coming. So they've got some Orcs are finally like getting their time, but I just don't want that to happen, right? I want like to see like my dream would be to see top fours, one of each different faction. Right?
Yeah, and so some of you out there who are listening are going to be like, well, hey, a lot of the tournaments are like a 60-40 split between Empire, but Yavin Based just had a great article. They interviewed the winner from the Michigan Maximum Firepower, and he said it was actually opposite, that it was 60-40 rebels. There was more rebels than there were, Empire, which is, cool. So I think it can go either way, and I may be remembering that wrong, so anybody who's fact-checking me, it may be the reverse of that, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's see. Something else that makes me nervous. So I'm not going to get into key positions and the debate behind it, but what makes me nervous about it isn't being blue player, isn't that. It's that they're going to overcompensate, that they're going to come in with a fix that's going to go the other way, and that's going to be maybe worse than what we have right now with key positions, even though it's bad. I get it. But
that's right. Lever pulling or knee jerking reactions,
Yeah.
right? Like instead of, I think I am running key positions. I think I took out sabotage the moisture collectors.
Yeah. Evaporators.
Yeah, moisture evaporators. That thing in Star Wars that everyone talks about.
Those things.
I'm running it. I don't have the bid, but I probably should bid more if I care about it, because normally I know what it is and I just get rid of it.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. Like there could be one that's you just don't want them to go too far.
Yeah.
Because then I have too many X-Wing analogies, so I'm not going to use anymore.
Right.
About like what I've seen before in these kind of things, where like they introduce turrets are real good in X-Wing. So I know I said this, but this is a good example. So turrets are real good. So then they make a thing for aces that lets them auto thrusters, so aces could survive. But like now they're invincible, so they added like higher damage outputs. But now neither of the other two can survive.
Right.
It's like you send in a mouse to kill, like a bug, and then you send in the cat to kill the mouse.
Yeah.
And you send a dog to get the cat. Right? Like it's
Yeah, and I think that's a legitimate concern, because listen, I know everybody, key position sucks for blue player or for red player, excuse me, and I get it, and it's controlling the game right now, and it definitely needs to be fixed, but I don't want them to come in with a shotgun to like hammer a nail, because it just won't make any sense. But but that's one. What about you? What's another fear for you?
oh geez. Let's see. Them realizing that this game is pretty cheap, and then the price points start creeping up.
Oh yeah, that's a
I
good
mean,
one.
so right now buying like I can walk into a store and I see a thing of stormtroopers, and I'm like, $25, I'll pick it up. Like I don't have to think too hard about that.
Yep.
But if these start getting like 40 or 50 for troops, that's gonna be like. So if that happens, I'll still buy them. I just got to schedule paychecks around it. Like, as a middle class American, I suppose I have to schedule my purchases of my hobbies around certain price points.
Yeah.
But what I like is like, hey, Boba Fett's out. Oh, he's $12. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just buy him.
Yep.
I wanted a Zangor shaman for my my Zeech demon army, and he was $35 for one unit on a disc. I mean,
Yeah.
will I give them the fact that it's awesomely detailed and this and that? I can't paint it, so that's all cool and good, but it doesn't mean anything to me. He's going in as gray right now, but $35 for one guy, and I'm like, that's just one model,
Right.
where I can get a whole box of dudes and maybe another guy on top of that for the same price.
Right, and as the meta, well, let's not even say meta. Let's say as the game changes and evolves, like you may have put $35 into one figure that may not even you may not even use.
Won't
anymore.
even use them. Yeah. So that's my fear. Is like price goes up, and then that like because you walk in and someone's like, well, how do I get into Legion? And I'm like, well, you can go into a store and buy it. Amazon, I think, has the starters for like $64.
Yep.
So you and a buddy want to split. Both want to get a fully playable army each, $60 a piece. Like, that's unheard of for a miniature game.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Even like X-Wing can't do that, right?
Yeah. That's a really good fear. I like that one.
I just don't want him to understand that. I mean, with looking at Rune. I mean, no one's playing Rune. Was it Rune Wars?
Sure.
I think. Yeah, their fantasy version.
Yeah.
Which I thought looked really cool. And then I remember I went to Millennium Games and it was all 60% off. Yeah. And I bought a starter and I got another starter from a buddy. He's like, I don't even play it, so I don't want it.
Right.
So I have like all these starters. I'm like, yeah. Then I looked at. We were at the Canadian Nationals up at Outbreak Con. And they had 4 people show up for their nationals for that game. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I could go. I could be top 4. Like, I was just like, so I started buying it up. I'm like, I'm like, finally, I'm top 4. It's something, baby. Like, so, it's, I bought into it a little bit, like, very casually because everything was so cheap. And it was really too bad because the game takes cool things like Armada and X-Wing and, like, what Legion kind of turned out to be, like the dice and everything. It kind of takes that and mashes it into a fantasy setting. And I'm like, well, this could have some legs, but. Like, why play that when you can play 40K, and get all the cool stuff and it's supported and, but Legion fits that cool, like, nothing's like Star Wars like that,
Yeah. Okay. So for my next one, I'd have to say, like along the same lines of talking about 40K and at the price point, I would say the complexity of models, too. They kind of did it a little bit with Boba. He's a little more complex than the other troops. And really, the fear isn't for me or you probably because we're veteran Warhammer players or 40K players. But my fear is for newer people because I always felt that was a real hard stop for people when they were getting into Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar now, or 40K was like, holy crap, these models are crazy complicated to put together. It's going to take me forever to do this. And so that's a fear of mine that they're going to... as cooler stuff, like specifically the droids. That one really scares me.
I just see all the little arms right now. Oh my god! Because like I imagine the droid armor being like a Zerg kind of thing, where you just got like instead of like 4 guys and like a guy add-ons like 7 or 8 guys, and you can add on like maybe a super battle droid or something, and you just load them out and just all those little bits, like
and hopefully they'll do it almost like. I think I'd be okay with it if it was done like the Legos are done, where they're kind of like a snap-on. Yeah. And then you just put a little glue in there to put it into place. But yeah, that worries me that the complexity is going to get crazy on the models.
No, sure. My next one is painting requirements.
Yeah.
So we joke about Evan's slop bucket, where I just like walk up to a table, I dump all my minis out. I'm like, y'all ready to play this game? And so we play. Then I shake hands. I'm like, thanks for the game, sir. And then I take my arm and I just smush them all back into the thing. The great thing about these minis is that they're it's like soft plastic, so you can drop them. It's something. There's no little bits, no finicky bits to speak of. Minus like Boba Fett and a couple other like random, like little fire on the Boba Fett. That's what sticks out to me when I was putting them together.
Those are crazy.
I'm surprised they just didn't put that in the mold, but so I knock them around, and half mine are painted, half mine are not. And I kind of like, because I don't know what I'm going to want to play, so I don't want to. Some people say just paint everything. Yeah. And I do not have the time. Right. Like I know if I put in a little bit of time a day, I just can't manage myself like that because like Soul Calibur 6 came out and all these, it's the video game season. Yep. So if I have half an hour, man, I really want to play some Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. Like it's a problem. But if they ever said, hey, these have to be tabletop ready, like what that means, like 3 colors, like based in the 3 colors. I mean, I'll do it because I want to play, so I'll begrudgingly do it. But I kind of like the fact that you could, like, if you're like, hey, there's a Legion tournament tomorrow, do you want to play? I don't have anything. Oh, let's just go buy some stuff. You can buy it all, put it together in, like, a couple hours watching a movie, even, right? You don't need to pay a whole lot of attention to these. Though, side note, I
know what you're going to say.
I messed up. I was real tired, and then I got the eWeb blaster, and I was playing Soul Calibur, and in between matches I was trying to put them together slowly. And so how they're supposed to go, the little like the hex grid, like the arcs, where you're supposed to put the track, like my guys are facing 90 degrees the wrong way. So I was building it, I'm like, yeah, this arc looks great. And then so I mean, like, it's fine, I'm sure I can figure out a way to do it where they have full pivot, all right? They got full pivot in the pre-pivot, they're fine. But yeah, I totally goofed. I messed up on that. But back to the painting thing. I like the fact that you could like, you and a friend could be, you're at a game convention, like, oh, Legion tournament tomorrow's openings. You both buy a couple box sets and you build them in like 2 hours, and then you play, and then you could do that. Like, I don't know another miniature game you could do that. Minus like another miniature game on par with this.
Yep.
Like, right, like take X-Wing and all those other like Shadespire, move those out. Those are fine. Those are a different kind of thing. But for this, you could just put them all together and go in and play, and then that way you wouldn't need to worry about painting. You could just get in there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people are worried about that, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are
Better than me. Yeah,
they want that to happen,
Yeah.
right? And I get both sides of that. Let's see. Another one for me is I'm afraid Fantasy Flight's going to be Fantasy Flight,
Okay.
and either stop paying attention to this game at some point. And I get what everybody's going to say out there. It's Star Wars, so they probably won't. But look what happened to X-Wing, and they had to reboot it into 2.0 because they were just, it was too much, right?
It got too bloated. So that's true. I mean, I'll give you the reassurance of take a look at like that Rune Wars game. Like,
Yeah.
they're still releasing new units for the game, and there's 4 factions now. I couldn't tell you one person who owns any besides me.
Right.
Someone's playing this somewhere, and if you do play Rune Wars, let us know. I would like to just know, because I look at when they Fantasy Flight releases all their prize support for the coming season. I look through it all, whether or not I play the game. Like, I look through the L5R cards because deep down I really want to play it, but I just can't commit to it. And I look at all these alt cards, and I look at the Rune War stuff, like these full art unit cards with like acrylic tokens look great. And I'm like, man, that looks cool. I'd like to play and try to win that, but like, it's laughable. In upstate New York anyway, trying to find anybody who even knows what you're talking about, let alone will humor you to play a game of it. So if they still make units for that and they're still releasing new heroes and things for that game, like, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just worry because, listen, I think everybody, we all understand that they seem like a bigger company, but in reality, they're not that big of a company.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of employees. So my concern is with like Keyforge coming out and all these other games that they're putting time into, that maybe not like this game will just drop off, because I don't think that's going to happen at all, because they still make the other game, the Assault game. But
that's another.
so I just worry that the focus will be less on this, and so that we're going to end up either bloating like X-Wing, or they're going to take like 4 months off from releasing something that should have been out. You know what I mean? And maybe that's okay. Maybe that'll make the game better if they're not releasing. But I have concerns.
No, man, I get it. Like, you don't want it to be the Blood Bowl of your releases. So what I mean by that is when GW doesn't have anything new coming out, like no new codexes, no new anything, they'll release a Blood Bowl like expansion, be like, oh, here's some Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Here's a book. Like, you don't want to be that one where like, yeah, here's some Snow Troopers wearing hats, special edition
Right.
or something. You're like, oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
Like, so I get it.
Or just like cards or something.
Yeah, like, oh, here's a card update.
Yeah,
Like, no miniatures.
which, hey man, maybe we need that right now with key positions. But I'm saying, in the future when things are a little bit fixed and they're like, oh, we don't know what to put out. You know what? Here's just a bunch of random nonsense.
It's funny you say that with the cards. I think that's an interesting idea. So they do things like that for other games where I'll take, anything GW is very comparable to this.
Yep.
Is release a deck saying you have to use this. If you want to play with these units, this is what you use now. And they flip-flopped on X-Wing with a damage deck after the first one came out, and then there were cards in there that just didn't affect certain ships. So they released the second one, and at first they said you had to use the second one, then all the community backlash, so they broke, and they said, well, okay, use whatever you want. No. If it legitimately fixes the game to a point where everybody can agree that it's more fun, if they say, hey, you want to play with those at your home, kitchen table, sure, all yours. But if you want to play in a store or like a maximum firepower event, you got to use this new update of like objective cards.
Yeah, I get that.
That way, like it keeps it competitive.
Yep.
And I wish they just did that with X-Wing when it came out and just said, you want to play, like, because even to the point when you went to an open, they gave everyone an all-art damage deck.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so when I got the first one was Vader. I have Vader on the back, and the second one was Boba Fett on the back.
Yep.
And I remember getting them, like, oh, so we have to use these. And they're like, no, you can use your old original one. I'm like, well, why give us what?
Yeah.
If they're giving you for free, right? Like, just say you got to use that one. Like, tough luck. So I think that'd be interesting if you go to an open, or like a big maximum firepower event, and they said, here are the objective cards you can use. They're the same things, but maybe reworded or retooled,
Yeah.
or fact ahead of time, so you could
Sure.
read what's going on. But here are the cards. Thanks for coming. It could be a prize, even like full art.
Yeah.
Like things like thanks for coming. Here's your event. Here's your free, updated objective cards, because you're the tryhards.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to this event. You're the tryhards. You're not the guy who doesn't go.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a difference. Right. Like you're there on a Friday.
Right.
when
If
you
you're
should be
going out to
working.
Las Vegas Open, there's a
Yeah,
good
or
chance
exactly right.
Yeah.
If you're from New York and you're going to the Open, you want like you
Yeah.
will buy those cards.
Yeah.
So I think that's you funny you just said that in passing, but I'm like, no, that's a really good idea if you want it, because it's cards. It costs them
Nothing.
like intrinsically free almost
Yeah,
at this
that-
point
that's nothing for them.
to this. So
Yeah. You got any other fears, my friend?
currently no. I think we had a good run on those.
Okay. Nice. So we're going to move on. The next segment is we're going to talk about Legion Army costumes. Ooh.
Too spoopy.
So basically what I mean by this is we're going to talk about custom paint jobs or kind of any custom work that we've seen or that maybe we want to do. And I'll start, but because Evan is actually doing something pretty cool with his. Why don't you tell him what you're doing?
All
with
right,
your
so
army?
I figured everyone was going to paint them like stormtroopers and snowtroopers,
Right.
and to that point, if you're doing it, it looks great.
Yeah.
I don't even need to see it. I'm just telling you, I like your paint job, because I'll always compliment anything, even if it's long, anything that's more than just my naked troopers. But I thought, well, hey, some part of my mind is like, what if someone like steals your miniatures? How are you going to tell them apart if they all look like stormtroopers? So I looked back through the annals of history, and I thought, who could lead my army? And I chose Cobra Commander. And so my Darth Vader we'll have to get a picture up on the
Yeah.
site at some point. My friend Brad is a paint master and also really good with green stuff. And he took my Darth Vader, he gave them a Cobra Commander mask, and he painted him to look like the blue, red, and black of Cobra.
Yep.
With his cape and everything. It looks great. And so I started painting my troops as Cobra Infantry. They shoot like Cobra Infantry, where it's just like, I'm just here to throw some
Yeah.
blanks, guys. But everything is going with a Cobra theme. And I'm trying to not alt my guys at all. I want to keep them the same, but like if I can add like a little something to the unit to make it look a little bit more Cobra-y, I just want to shout like, Cobra, retreat, as I'm like pulling back, or like I think my Palpatine will be Serpentor. I'll have to change him up
that's
a little
good,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, and he just throws that snake harpoon through Duke's chest. I think I was gonna have Veers be Destro, and I found a good 40K head that was
Yep.
like a bald guy, and then just shave it down a little bit and make a metal mask. I think that'd be cool. And then Boba Fett was gonna be Lady Scarlet, and so I found there's a girl with like flowing black hair, so I'm just gonna chop Boba Fett's head off and put her head there, and that looks pretty legit, I think.
I like that. Yeah, it's different and unique. What did I just saw something? I think it was on Reddit. Somebody posted. They painted Boba Fett like the new Mandalorian.
Yeah. Dude,
John
people are
John
going
Favreau TV
crazy
show.
with the Boba Fett figure. They look great.
Yeah, because I mean, forever, right? He's always been everybody's favorite character.
Yeah.
From the Star Wars universe, and so I think, a lot of us old school guys who have been watching Star Wars forever, like we've always wanted Boba Fett to do more, or be more, or have him as a toy. Like that was the big thing when I was growing up. So yeah, that one's cool. Trying to think what else I've seen. I like some of the mods, like the 3D printed mods. Some people are doing like clone troopers and stuff. That's gonna become moot pretty soon.
Yeah,
but-
I felt bad for those guys. I've seen a guy who made Kylo Ren figures
oh yeah,
to replace your Vader. I love any of the new Disney stuff. I've seen some people done a lot of, like with Boba Fett. I've seen like they do that the Darth Maul race. Their name is slipping my mind, but they do like they've got those spikes on their helmet.
yeah.
And I've seen I think everyone's looking for like a Sabine.
Yeah.
Of like Vader, right? Like I mean, it's not Vader, but it's Sabine,
Boba
Boba
Fett,
Fett. That
yeah.
looks pretty cool. Man, there's a lot of like great people done like those two samurai that we're doing for the we provided for the Open, the
Yeah,
Vegas
LV
Open.
Yep.
Those look really just blew my mind. I'm like, holy cow, I want those. Like,
Yeah.
so they're also doing that raffle
Yeah.
for that to get to that. But those look great. Like the amount of just everyone's like the people 3D print alien heads and change their whole army
Yeah.
to be one alien race. Like that's nuts.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see, what else have I seen? Oh, one thing I'm doing is before. So this was before the Rebel Commandos were coming out. I have like I was thinking about like a set of stormtroopers that maybe got stuck on Jakku during that battle.
Yeah.
And so like I'm building like cloaks for them with like hoods and stuff,
Oh,
and
that'd be
like their
cool.
armor's all like dirty and busted
Yeah.
and stuff. And so that's one of mine that I'm working on now.
My buddy Brandon did Shadow Troopers.
Yeah.
The black with like it's kind of shiny on some and like mute on the others. Those came out really good. I think you did those too, right? With your
I did the Death Troopers.
the Death Troopers
yeah.
going through the reeds, like those look
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Until they come until those
Yeah, until
models
we-
come out.
Krennic with Death Troopers, please.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yes, if we could ask for anything, that would be on our list. Let's see, what else have we seen? Some of the Rebels stuff. I haven't seen a ton of unique stuff on the units. Oh, I saw a bunch of people have made Luke in his
Black outfit.
snow speeder
oh, okay.
outfit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that one's really neat.
That's
the
really cool.
flight gear. His
Yeah.
flight gear.
I like the different Hans. People have made like each Han of each different year, right? Like there's because the Han sculpt I'm okay on. I'm not. Endor was not the battle I chose. Like they do a lot. It's weird. So they do a lot with Hoth when they make these units, like the E-Web, the snowtroopers, and then it seems like that's the Imperial theme, and then the Rebel theme's Endor.
Yes.
And I feel like kind of weird. Like I want that like the Rebel Han from which has got the black vest and shirt.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually don't mind the Leia sculpt, but people put her in like the Endor outfit where she's got the more of the like the poncho
yeah.
or the helmet. Like that looks really cool. I don't like people. I'm always impressed by the princess outfit she's in when they make those models, but that's to me that's not like a Battlefield kind of thing.
Right.
But not say that the work and people who do that's not great. It's just not for me, not my flavor. But a lot of the like, cool like, man, just all the 3D print stuff. Like I'm really interested to see what'll happen when like the droids come out, and people making custom droids and stuff like that. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah. Let's see, what else have people done. Veers into Thrawn.
Yeah,
Which is neat. What? Oh God, I saw a really cool Vader one. Oh, I'd like. This isn't a costume, but there's been a bunch of people that have put LED lights into the sabers, and they're like, you can get them off of eBay. I actually have a couple. They're like coin size, and so you could put the battery and the chip and everything like right in their base, and then you can run the wire up and light up the lightsabers.
That's cool.
That's really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've seen anything else. Some of the like modifications to the ATSTs have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing a Gundam. They took the head, put it right on that. I think that's really cool. Battle damage ones are cool. I found there's a model done by Bandai Namco that has Chewie hanging out the top of it, and it's like just about the same scale. So I thought about buying the ATST, making it terrain, and putting that Chewie on the top of that head onto my ATST because it fits just about right. Like it's just him torso coming out with his bow. I thought that'd be really cool. So I think my Hobby Lobby might have had that. I don't know, but yeah, I just gotta look for that. I think you can find it on Amazon or something.
Sure. Yeah, trying to think. I don't know. Some of doing like his name just fell out of my head. But the clone that was in Rebels, Rex.
Oh, Rex.
Yeah, putting his head on a unit leader's body for the Rebels.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I wish the Imperial assault units are just like a hair smaller than the because they made Thrawn for that, and so I bought it. I don't even play. I just buy I bought the bounty hunters. Yeah, because I was using them as target locks and X-wing. I'm like, well, Boba Fett has that locked, and there's no way you can miss like the Boba Fett miniature flying around with that. So they made a Thrawn, but he's just too small. Like he's just a hair too small to fit in Legion, which is too bad.
The other neat one I saw, I guess it's kind of costume, but this is for the recover the supplies. So instead of a supply box, they had it as like a rebel.
Oh, the down trooper.
Yeah, the down trooper. Yeah, the down
cool.
flight trooper. That's really neat. And so I think that's pretty good.
No, I think those are. If you have anything, send it to us. Like you want some custom stuff.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah, we'll put it up on the.
Maybe we'll do a segment at some point of just like cool alts people made. Like that'd be a pretty cool thing.
Oh yeah, and I think it's running till, well, actually it'll be the day you listen to this, but Imperial Discipline, he's got a contest for painting up there right now, and I think it's
Okay.
running through Halloween. So if you listen to this and you have time today, which would be Halloween as you're listening to this, we're actually recording the night before, but go up to his site and submit some pictures. He's having a contest, so
Cool.
that'll be cool. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is tricks and treats in Legion. And so what we're going to do with this is we're just going to basically go down some units, maybe cover some other aspects of the game, and just talk about, basically it's a negative positive list, but we'll call it trick and treat. So let's try that.
Got to keep the theme.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I don't care because it's Halloween. So whoever said it was a stretch, screw you, man. Let's start with Boba. So I would say I'm going to start with treat
Yeah,
because he's such a treat.
he's real.
He's so
He's such a tasty treat.
tasty morsel. He's really, really good. And the more I play him, the more I realize how good he is. I threw Hunter on there, which is sick.
Hunter's so good.
Especially, you get an aim when you're attacking a unit that has wounds. And I think that's going to come up big for the Wookiees. That'll be huge. Huge for the Wookiees. So I think he's got range. He's got movement speed. That jump 2 is ridiculous. He's really good. And I got him paired with, so I'm running 2 bikes now with
Okay.
Boba.
Yeah. They all move 3, right? Like you
Yeah,
can
it's
kind of keep them.
sick.
I think the trick with him is if you overextend him.
Yeah.
So again, like we were talking about this earlier, that your unit is only going to be able to do 12 things a game, and only shoot 6 times. Because you get 2 actions a turn with them, generally without any
Right.
wonky.
Yep.
So if you like move with him, he's not shooting. So that's 1 turn out of the 5 he's not shooting. And if you overextend him, because it can feel like he's invincible, right? He surges on defense. He's got red dice, so it's only 2 out of 6 chance he's going to take damage.
Right. He's probably never going to panic.
Yeah, right. Like, but if I haven't lost him yet, but if you overextend him, or I have lost him, I did lose him once, but if you overextend him, because you think he's just going to be fine doing his own thing,
Yeah.
he can go down.
Yep.
Just as same thing like Vader and Luke can all
Yeah.
go down if you just put enough firepower into him. Eventually, those defense dice give up, and that's a big chunk of your points gone.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what else would be. I think a little bit of a trick with him is his command cards. Like they
Yeah.
seem cool, but
They're super situational.
yeah, I would say maybe if you're gonna use them, maybe use one. Maybe use the flamethrower.
Yeah, I like the flamethrower and the rocket launcher.
Yeah, the rocket launcher too. Yeah, that one's good too. Especially for ranged. That's a good
Mhm.
ranged one. Yeah, and I guess he's got a lot of impact too, especially with that rocket command card. But yeah, I would just be careful committing too much to his
just
command
be careful,
cards.
right? Because you can roll blanks, man. Feels like you can't,
Yeah.
but sometimes you just do.
Yep. All right, so we'll move on to Han.
I think treat.
All right.
Especially he'll be more of a treat when Chewbacca comes out, because you'll get that sweet combo. But I think I think the problem is Wonder Twins is just so good right now, that taking one out for Han just doesn't feel
Yeah.
like right. But I think I think with that Pierce 2, is it Pierce 1? Pierce 1 with this gun?
I don't remember.
I think it's Pierce 1. It's Pierce 1, 2 red dice. You can shoot 2 different targets. He's good for picking off lone guys, for just guaranteeing damage onto certain units. His cards are real tricky. Like, sorry about the mess. He goes at 0. The one where he can change of plans, I think, or
Yeah.
where you can make it so they have to put their card back in the hand and pick another one. Like, those are some really cool stuff. And I feel like once you get into the rhythm of like predicting what they're going to play, Han can be really powerful. Now he's got lucky, so he gets those rerolls on his white dice, because white
Yep.
dice are just
That's pretty good.
the biggest backstabbers you'll ever throw in this game. But I honestly think he's pretty good. And I think if you play him, especially again, he'll be more of a thing when Chewie comes out, and
Yes.
then you can have Han and Chewie roll up, because Chewie's got like Guardian 3, so if Han takes damage, like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll say, all right, so for trick, I'll say that I'm I don't think he's as good as, like you said, you can't. The twins are so good. I don't think he's as good as either of them. And the cards help, and they definitely affect the battle. But I would say Han on the battlefield is mostly ineffectual. I haven't really come up against him, and maybe it's people I'm playing, that could be, but I haven't really come up against him where I'm like, oh no. I'm just kind of like, yeah, all right.
It's not Vader, right? You're like, oh
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, I mean, you can mostly ignore him.
Yeah.
Yeah, or not ignore him, but you can just move around him. He doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't do anything for me right now as far
Gotcha.
as I play Empire, but I'm not really concerned about him on the battlefield.
No, sure. I just don't want him to take. So if he takes like, I think he's got low profile.
Yes.
So he takes duck and cover. So he takes one suppression. So he's got two cover, and then he moves up even in like out in the open because he's got 2 cover. So who cares? And he picks off 2 of your guys, and he's doing that every turn. Where he's just picking off 2 guys, 2 guys, 2 guys, or one guy from each, one guy from each. Like I feel like that can add up, and you can be like, gosh, then you like turn your attacks on him, and then he's got lucky, so he gets to reroll attack dice. And so then you're like, gosh, I should have just killed him when I had the chance, right? Like, again, like I don't think he's amazing right now, even though I think he's good. I think with Chewie he'll be better, but I think he's a cool, like, if you're sick of playing Leia, like throw Han in there and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I'm sure a lot of people that are listening. I play Han, right? Yeah, you probably do. And I probably just run into people who aren't, because he's still kind of new, so no one's really perfected it yet. But until Chewie comes out, I don't know. He's not great. I don't think he's a great ad for the list.
Fair. I get it. Like I haven't played him yet, honestly.
Right.
I've seen him once or twice. And when my goal is, I have like 2 sets of Rebel Troopers like Luke right now. I think I own for Rebels and Han. And when Han comes out, I plan to just run Troopers and just Han and just have
when
guys.
Chewie comes out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jeez, sorry. And just have all sorts of like mayhem happening, and I don't even care if I win, but if I just make that guy's life real miserable, like he's like looking for points, I'm just like no you're not, or like oh man maximum firepower, I'm like lols, no it's not, right? And then I push all my guys forward and they can't get there. Like I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna move to snipers. And what I'm gonna do is I said snipers, but I think what I meant was scouts, and we'll do scouts and commandos. I will do trick on these. All right. I think that the trick with these is that people are investing too much into them, especially in the 2-man units, the strike teams. And I think that if you're going to use the commandos or the scouts, that you want to take a look at Saboteur, and you want to take a look at maybe full man scout or commando units with a sniper.
Okay.
Especially the scouts, because that 2 black on attack rolls is ridiculous.
It's pretty okay.
Yeah, and yeah, they got for Empire, we're not used to white defense die unless we have our bikes, so it's really tough to play them. But I would say if you're gonna play 2-man sniper, make sure you got enough firepower elsewhere. So for instance, my new list is Veers, 4 stormtroopers with DLT 19s, 2 sniper 2-man units, Boba Fett, and then 2 units of bikes.
Okay.
And I think the snipers are okay in that because they can cover,
bikes.
and they can move around while Boba Fett and the bikes just freaking jump across the whole battlefield and do whatever they want.
Okay, yeah.
Until the bikes get shot at and then they die. But until then,
No, that's fair. I'll say, just to counter you, I'll say treat, because I also think they're a trick. But so treat is because you can take those snipers, and put them in spots immediately. So train is a weird thing in this game, right? So if we went by the rules as written, anything that covers 25% of that battlefield is train, so it can just be like little hills.
Yeah.
And snipers aren't great there.
Yes.
You want like towers, right? Your buildings, something they can get into. I can look at them as 2 ways. So they're a treat because they got the whole battlefield.
Yep.
They can put, and if you take 2 of them, they can double suppress something, like a troop on the back that's just out of command range, so you might run off the board. That would feel real bad, right?
Yes.
If someone just lost a whole unit almost immediately because they just panicked and ran. But I feel like they're for the points. I I really honestly think the bomb squads will be something at some point. Right now, no.
Yeah.
I feel like when the droids come out, I feel like you're going to see some of those droids have armor, and that's when you're going to see that snowtrooper, that gun they have, be useful. That's only like the ion gun. I feel like that's its time. I feel like
Yeah.
the saboteurs with like especially the rebels with the impact, being able to put a miner on objective and just leave it and be like, bye, okay, whatever, it's gonna do some damage. Let's see, we're two guys. You can spend your whole turn shooting at two guys with armor cover 2 because we're suppressed 1, or you can shoot at a real threat. I feel like, but snipers in general, being able to double suppress things, being able to just pick off stuff with Pierce 1, be like, that's damage on Veers, that's the damage on Veers, that's the damage on Veers,
really
Veers is dead. I feel like that's really good. I also feel like even if they're just there to make someone use their maximum firepower, their orbital bombardment, which they have, if you see, I run Veers just to do that.
Yeah.
And like I use it to kill snipers, and maybe you bring 1 or 2, like a sniper team, just to eat that orbital bombardment or that maximum firepower to keep it off something else.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So along those lines, recommendation is if you're going to play snipers and you want them to be effective.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't let them shoot.
Right. Don't play just one.
Yeah.
Play a pair because they're gonna go after them and put them on opposite sides, and maybe, with orbital bombardment or Veers, what you're gonna want to do, maximum firepower, what you're gonna want to do is hold one back. Don't put it in position right away. Hold it back. Maybe and put HQ uplink on it.
Yep.
And then hold it back until Leia or Veers kind of blow their wad there, and then go ahead and put him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So like it's weird. So like I take those cards to fight those units.
Yeah.
But I could also see if you wanted to keep like your ATRT alive, or your those, because dude, Leia can take out 6 dudes if things go right. Like it feels real bad.
Hers is really strong.
Yeah, I think it's better than Veers.
For sure.
And I honestly, on a side note, I don't like either of those cards, because my thing I really hated about a 40k was that turn 0 feel, where you lost stuff and you didn't have a chance, and that gives me that turn 0 feel, where like you lose guys. So like, because it's a pip 1 pip.
Yep.
Right, and then especially with Leia's, Veers is mean too, because you could take 4 guys out of a group and like you just ruined it. But or you can do 4 damage to a vehicle and it could get ruined. Because imagine like losing 4 damage to your snow speeder immediately. You're like, okay, it's like okay.
I will say though, I would agree with you, but I would say with the advent of the snipers and we're going to talk about them, the new stationary guns. Well, the UWeb's not stationary, but the new gunners. I would say they're probably more powerful now than they were before.
Correct. Okay.
Because before they were more of a turn 1.
Yeah.
You kind of had to use them in turn 1.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may lose your opportunity.
Yeah.
But I feel with the snipers that usually stay in position, and then with these the new turrets that are coming out, that are out. Sorry, they're out now. They're going to be more effectual, I think.
No, that's fair. I think so. If you're gonna play either Leia or Veers, take those cards. No matter what. Like you can, anything else can be like swapped in and out, but I use mine to just take snipers out because I hate them. I hate being hit by them. I don't think they're broken or anything like that. Like I said it before, like I don't think they're an overpowered unit. But man, if you don't take care of those guys or have a plan to get around them, just getting pinged for damage every turn, it's real good. So I think they're a treat. I think they can be a trick if you play. Like another tip you had is don't put your guy, especially your snipers, in line of fire immediately, knowing that they have Veers or Leia, because they're gonna just blast them off the board, and that's gonna be it.
Or if you're gonna, so the other trick, and I know I've talked about this, trick in a good way in this perspective is, if you're using the 2-man, so the sniper is your unit leader, so he can't die if there's a wound. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you put the second man where
behind a rock,
they don't have line of sight. If they kill the sniper, the second guy dies and the sniper replaces him.
Picks up the gun,
and you just put him back where you want him.
No, that's good.
So that's the other trick there for that.
It can keep you alive, especially with that orbital bombardment. You just get blasted and then they just eat it, and that's game, right? Like not game, but like that. It feels bad to lose a guy. Like you have to take his tile out of the bag before you even got to activate him once. God, jeez.
Well, that's HQ uplink on those.
Yeah, it's
pretty good. Okay, so the next one, the new guns. Let's talk about those. I'll say they're a trick.
I'd agree. Honestly, right now, I think anyway.
Don't take them.
Yeah, I don't. So I see Here's my vision with the guns. I wanted a bunch, and I'd like to make a scenario where maybe the rebels have to hold out against an unlimited Imperial force.
Yeah.
And so you give them like this isn't tournament rules before I get into this. Like
This is just an imaginary
fun,
scenario
yeah.
that Evan's
maybe
making
take
up.
like 4 guns, you put them on like a fortified position, and the rebels get so many units and the hero of their choice.
Yeah.
And then you just keep pushing like stormtroopers, and then stormtroopers and like an ATST, and then the E-Web slowly starts walking up the field.
Yep.
It's like, how many rounds can you survive kind of thing, where like I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Eventually that's where I think those guns would be a lot of fun, is like your own custom games. I think not everything that's going to come out is going to be competitive.
Yep.
I think that's okay. That's okay. Cause I mean, that game I want to make, like, yeah, no one will ever, like, I'll never do that. I'll never make that scenario, but it'd be a real fun way to spend a couple hours in the afternoon making like an unlimited wave thing. You take turns, maybe like playing the rebels. So you got to like hold out for a while. Or if you want to play the Imperials with E-Webs and you just swap positions, I think that's cool. But yeah, okay. Disclosure, I haven't got a chance to play with them yet, but when I look at their stats and I look at like, again, so you got 6 turns in the game with the E-Web, you move, it can't shoot.
Yep.
And then you shoot once maybe, and then you have to move again to defend a spot. That's 2 turns out of 6 are not shooting. And they're 50 points, 55, 60, something like that. They're pretty reasonable priced. So I thought about replacing one of my Stormtrooper units with one just to try it out with the barrage generator. Because at that point I just want suppression. I just want it to be like an anti-infantry kind of thing. I'll be playing it probably this weekend. And so next time we talk, I can give you more in depth. But looking at the cards, I agree with you. I think they're kind of a trap right now.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, and listen, we could probably sit here and come up with all kinds of scenarios because, like, they are trooper units technically, so there's a ton of stuff that you could do with them. The E-Webs move, so you could probably go pick up a supply with them. They move crazy slow, but maybe.
A funny note, you should say troopers though. So the rapid reinforcements, these are considered troopers, so you can drop an E-Web or wherever you want, like behind.
Yep.
So if you hope to get that, and you can drop them on like behind enemy lines, right?
Yeah. So I would say if you're gonna run them, just like listen, I'm not against anybody running anything. They,
play what you
I
want.
always say, whatever makes you feel good, and you can listen to idiots like us talk about this all day long, but really it just comes down to what's in your heart and what feels right when you're on the battlefield.
Heart of the cards.
Yeah. And like, hey, if you want to run the T-47, do that too. That's fine. But I would say if you're gonna run on either side, the E-Web or the 1.4 laser, I would recommend taking a look at your battlefield cards, your deployment cards, all of that condition cards, to make sure that you're designing it in a way that makes sense for those. So I think there's something. If you're going to use those turrets, you're going to want to. I said that weird. Turrets. If you're going to use those turrets, you're going to design your list around them a little bit, I think. So. And so you're going to have a specific kind of strategy in mind, and so just make sure you stick with that, and don't throw them in as an extra. Don't think that the lasers for the rebels are going to replace ATRTs. They're not. They're just not. Like they may, because the ATRT may have a laser, it may be the same measurement distance, but they don't move, man. They don't move. So you know what? ATRTs can climb friggin' buildings. So you know what? Hanging with the ATRTs, they're good.
Yeah, it's real tough because I say that now, but if it just depends on the terrain you play with too. Like if you've got a lot of line of sight blocking terrain, and you're never gonna get shot with them, man, they feel like a waste of points.
Yeah. But
maybe you get to one of those maximum firepower tables provided by Fancy Flight, and there's a lot of open space, and then that stationary gun becomes really good, like super good. Like
I would say if you're Rebels and you got one of those tables and you're up against an E-Web Imperial, you're probably toast. Yeah. Because Rebels really need cover.
So again, like I looked at the cards, I built my unit poorly. But I'm just thinking like I was gonna switch them out just for funsies, but then I'm like, maybe I'll just keep the stormtroopers. Like I don't know, I'm still on the fence.
Yeah.
But I agree that they're right now. I'm gonna say trick, just because I haven't played them yet, but I'm still on the fence about them.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. Any other trick or treat type scenarios? I guess that's. Again, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, we covered some big points. I
Yeah.
mean, we can look at like being careful about hype, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I'll give you another X-Wing story because those are
Son
my
of a
favorite. I know,
gun.
I'm just loading this thing up. So before the U-Wing came out, everyone's like, "Oh my god, this thing is gonna ruin the game. This is so good. Look at all the green maneuvers. Holy cow!" And so I was at Barnes and Nobles and they had 2 on the shelf, and I bought them both. I've never put one on the table.
Yeah.
And like so, when you're listening to these, like anybody talk about anything, use that critical thinking skill to really like well, let me because we're talking down about these guns, but you never know. Maybe like they become like super good.
Yeah.
And so just don't trick yourself by getting the wrong idea about something until you play it.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Like maybe the T-47s will become good when all the stuff's out, right? Like,
yeah, agreed.
So it's just that.
So the opposite of that for the treat, I'll say, and this is kind of something we've touched on before, but I've seen a lot of people asking for recommendations on the Facebook groups and on Reddit for their list and stuff. And yeah, I mean, listen, man, there's a ton of us that play, and there's a ton of people that are really good at the game, and there's a ton of people that may have more knowledge than you. But really, I'm the same way. No one can tell me what list to play, or even if it's meta. Like, just because it's meta, just because someone else won with it, doesn't mean it makes any sense for you. And maybe your play style is different. Maybe your thought process is different. So if there's a list, if it's got a good point value, if you're doing well with it, in different scenarios against your friends or at tournaments, just stick with it, man. Just don't worry about what everybody else is playing, and don't worry about what the meta is, because honestly, as much as people are going to tell you there is a meta right now, there isn't. It's ever shifting. There's stuff that's good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's one list that's gonna.
And with the new Palpatine and Chewie coming out next month?
This month.
Is it this month?
Palpatine's this month in
November?
a couple weeks. Yep.
Okay.
And then I think Wookiees are in Chewie
Jeez,
or
like
December.
that's gonna change everything. I think that's the last of things that they've pre-announced, right?
No, the commanders,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
the
right.
small commanders.
Maybe in December we'll get those.
Yeah.
I'd like everything before the year ends, just to have like a year in review we could do.
Yeah, that would be nice.
What's going on?
I think they probably want to do that. I mean, it's I don't know what they're gonna do for next year. My gut is telling me
the clones.
Well, no, I know. I mean, I know they're
Yeah.
gonna do that. I meant like timing wise. My gut's telling me May,
Yeah.
just based on how Fantasy Flight's done stuff before. But maybe April they'll come out with a. I mean, they got Adepticon around there, March, April, so maybe they'll come out with the core set.
I think you'll see at least an article coming soon, like probably end of December.
They got to do something
Before just to get the hype up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look out, those guns that came out this week were like, they showed those like months and months ago.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, holy cow. And then Boba Fett came out before that. And they announced Boba Fett way after.
Well, yeah, and that's
the
something.
guns.
Yeah, we were talking about where a lot of this came out on like pre-order months and months ago, because Evan was asking me. I had a couple of units of scouts up on my. When I say a couple, 5.
Couple 5.
And he's like, "Why do you have 5 scout boxes?" I'm like, because I pre-ordered some from Miniature Market and I forgot I got them, and then I needed them for my army, so I bought more from the local from Comic Zone. So. Yeah, I hope, but they have a tendency around April, May to do some weird announcement, and then at Gen Con they'll do another big announcement.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This year's going to be interesting. I can't wait for the other 2 armies to come out. I think it's going to make, not that I'll necessarily choose one, but it'll be nice.
I just even want some pictures. I just want to see what the sculpts are, what it looks like. Like, I think this is like one of the first games I've bought into. Because with X-Wing, I buy everything. This is one of the first games I just bought one side.
Yep.
And I haven't felt like I've missed out on anything. And that's a really nice feeling, because there used to be chase stuff in X-Wing, like auto thrusters out of one card that came in only one scum ship that was $20. And if you wanted to play Imperials correctly, you need to buy, like that doesn't happen in Legion.
Yeah.
Minus like a couple grenades. I think like impacts come with one. And anyway, like it's pretty fair. Like, I don't feel like there's any chase cards really. Because I've got piles of everything at this point from just buying Imperial stuff.
Yeah.
So I really like that. But this is the first game I've only bought one side for. Normally I buy both.
Yeah.
But I might again. I just want to push Droidicas around, man.
Yeah, I
Get-
know.
and-
Especially if they come out with some of the hover tanks and
Oh,
God's
geez.
sakes.
We'll get into a little theory crafting here.
Yeah.
So I really just want that hover tank,
Yeah.
and I want to put it down, and I want to give a bonus to my droids. It doesn't, maybe a reroll or something. It doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe it has some lousy gun, 3 black dice, range 2, whatever, right? But I want to push all that forward, and I want a troop transport out of that too. So they deploy out of it. They don't have to come out in little thing, but they move up and then they put it out, because that's really cool. That's the theme,
That would
right?
be cool, yeah.
Because maybe the droids are real weak. Maybe they don't even get defense dice or something. They just they just drop, or it's white dice, no
yeah.
surge.
Yeah.
So they just only get one chance. So they need that vehicle to get them into the fight.
Yeah, that would be neat.
I think that'd be really cool, because I was thinking they made that FAQ update with that little tread and hover vehicle, and everyone's like,
yeah.
oh, tanks, we're gonna get some.
Yeah.
I'm thinking man, troop transport would be good, but Vader doesn't need to be in a troop transport.
No.
he needs to just walk.
Yeah, I think you'd have to make it very specific to droids or something.
Yeah,
like
droid only.
Yeah, the other neat thing I was thinking, so for the clones, what you could do is, this made me think because of the Wookiees, so you could even have a unit of Jedi, but make them almost apprentice Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
And then they get 2 reds.
Yeah. Okay.
Or 1 red or something. They get something strong, but you can have a whole unit of Jedi, that are
super strong. So I was thinking, on top of that, I think it'd be cool eventually if it got to, you could make a hero army where it's you could take Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they had something where add Padawan group. So you only have maybe 12 models on the field, but they're 12 activations of 12 super strong individual units. That might be cool, right? That'd be really
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, just a cool
Yeah.
it doesn't, cool doesn't mean good, but having maybe 6 units in your team, but they're all Jedi.
That would be, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, to go back to the Jedi, they're going to have to do one of these, right? Because if they're sticking in theme like they have been with, that's the one thing, and I've preached it a number of times on the cast, is that I love the theme. The themes are spot on. So if they're going Clone Wars separatists, they're going to have a bunch of Jedi, because there were a ton of Jedi during that era. So they need to have units of Jedi. So
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, if they're Padawans or younglings, or I don't know how you would do it, but you could nerf them a little bit so that they,
Oh, sure.
you know,
It would make the army feel different, because I don't want, because droids, I can see how they can be different from these two by just swarming, right? Just a ton of droids and a couple super battle droids.
Yeah,
But my fear is that the clones will just be precise 1, red.
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel just like stormtroopers, because they're not.
no,
right?
I feel like they'd have to be. I almost wonder if they probably have to upgrade their dice.
Something.
I would think, and maybe downgrade the defense. I don't
possibly,
know, but
or
they still have armor.
Maybe upgrade the dice to black, but don't give them precise, or just don't give them an ability. Just make them just a dude, right? Don't give them nimble like the rebel troopers have, so they can stay alive.
But
longer.
then and you got tons of opportunity for generals and operatives, and I mean, I'm really excited for this year for Legion, and it's gonna be a good year.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we're winding up. Just a recommendation from us, Notorious Scoundrels podcast.
Excellent.
So, yeah, if you can start with us or not, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's Halloween. You do whatever you want. A guy or girl listening to us right now. No, but check them out. So we touched a little bit on key positions. Their last cast that actually went out today, they go a little bit salt mining on key positions, and talk about how you could potentially do it as red player and win.
Oh, sure. That's good information.
So yeah, they're very knowledgeable dudes. Got a bunch of great blogs, great podcasts. They've been doing great. So check them out. And then as always, hit us up on any of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter. You'll see me. I'm posting on all the boards and everything too. So just if you have any questions, and like I said, highly recommend you check this out on YouTube if you aren't already, because it's Halloween. Ghosts and stuff. But thanks for listening. Happy Halloween, everybody, and have a good night.
Have a good one.
join us next week on the 5th Trooper Podcast.